So yesterday's game, I don't know what level they are. Adam Amin, Mark Sanchez, and then you had one sideline reporter.
Yeah, there's only a single booth that has two. That's your A team.
I was only saying it because her name is Pink.
Okay.
So
yep.
Thank you, Blake. Christina Pink.
Mm-hmm.
Adam Amin. I've talked about this broification of announcers. So everybody sees that Kevin Burkhardt has ascended to number one. And so what can I would like to be number one. I should probably do stuff like they're doing. Like, that's why we're doing a lot of Rogan-type stuff.
Yes.
These days.
That vaccination bit was good.
And Jason Kelsey's wife stuff. I don't know what any of those people do. But because we want to be number one. So they kind of bro down a little bit. And it's the way to bro down is by shortening someone's name or using initials for their name. So we've seen EA and KB.
TR.
KB is with TB. And Adam Amin's like, oh, that's how you do it?
It's going to be third down after the bat down by Armstrong. Carissa Thompson has a game break for us, CT.
Thanks so much, Adam. Packers hosting the Bears.
The second down coming up for Washington. Carissa Thompson's got a game break, CT.
Yes, I do, Adam.
It's a first down scramble of 16 yards. Carissa Thompson's got a game break, CT.
Adam.
Wow, good stuff, CT. Again, and it's good enough for a first down as we check in with KP.
Dallas is the last team we lost to. Our players are not gassed. We have a lot to gain from this game, and we don't want to turn it off.
Good stuff, KP. And 6 penalties to your point, KP. KP, you chatted with Dan Quinn. Give me a little sense of the decision. That's been the case so far, KP. Great stuff.
Jeez.
Showing some cleave, too, Christina Pink. The little triangle cleave thing up in the top. Like, they just cut this piece of your sweater out just for the sole purpose in case we weren't really positive you had big jugs. Like, it's just an interesting look. Like, it doesn't make any sense. If you were to explain this to little Nora, who's wondering why the Mavs cheerleaders have fat boobies, she would be like, "Why? Why do you have the? Why does that shirt look like that?" It'd be like if we had pants that just showed the shaft, like just the top of your dick. Like, here, okay, these are some new pants. Yeah, they just open like this, and that's how, like.
Yeah.
And she just wears it like that all the time.
Yeah, or
I'm going to show you just enough.
Or
to get you all horny.
Because you can get away with it just side ball.
Yeah, just
like
a little
side boob, but it's just you just have side ball.
A couple hairs coming out of there.
Yeah.
Anyway,
no, I know what you're saying, but I mean, dudes wear like V-neck shirts to show they have a little.
Yeah, but that's not a. Well, whatever. Anyway,
were you about to say?
I'm not against it.
Yeah,
I'm pro.
I think it's weird. The first time he did it,
Christina Pink. She might be right up there with my favorite sideline reporters.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
By the way, I think they are like the C team, the number 3 team.
Okay.
It gets a lot worse.
Ooh.
There's like Chris Myers.
I haven't watched a lot of Browns games.
Moose is in here somehow.
Yeah, Moose is somewhere.
CT, that's a funny one. I think KB does it also.
From?
Well, he used to be like at least the number 2 team.
Okay, I don't think his talent has changed.
Moose?
Yeah, he's the same.
Yeah, he's pretty far down there. But when you throw it to her, it's weird because it sounds like you're saying CTE.
CTE, yeah.
Hey, what's going on with CTE? Well, and they just cut to another guy, just lifeless.
And Antonio Brown is down there.
Dude, he is on such a heater.
What a sideline reporter he would be.
Do you know about his weekend?
No. Did we get a cracker of the day?
We did Cracker of the Year, which was Shane Gillis. He won. he had like a live stream award ceremony. It was like an hour and a half long.
Antonio Brown?
Yeah, had a podium, had a trophy.
Wow. How did I miss all that?
No, so Notre Dame in the playoff, they are putting their names on the back of their jerseys, which they do not do. But they have made the decision to put their last name on the back of their jerseys for the playoffs. Now, Notre Dame has a walk-on cornerback named Charles Du, D-U. He is Chinese. And on the back of his jersey, he has Chinese characters spelling out his name in Mandarin, I assume. And AB took a video that he saw of that and dubbed him Blank of the Day, and it rhymes with blink. And then said, a legend. Got an NIL deal for this kid. Tag his ex for me. I believe the next morning, Charles Dew quote tweeted that and said, excited to announce I've signed an NIL deal with CTESPN. Because the New York Post had done a story that said that AB spoiled this kid's moment. And Charles Dew said, at NY Post has it wrong. Spoiled? No way. AB's daily award is a sign of love and respect. CTESPN is the most trusted source in all of sports.
It's really him?
Yeah.
That's great.
He's just having fun with it. So anyways, yeah. Over to you, CTE. I like Adam Amin. I do. But he is definitely trying to let you know he's a young guy. He'll bro down on you.
I mean, I have some more Adam Amin. We'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
Let's talk actually about the game just a little bit. Because, I mean, there's not really a lot. Who cares? Didn't care who won or lost. The fact that a cheerleader got hit in the head by Brandon Aubrey, that's cool.
Unbelievable.
Can't wait to talk to him. Hopefully we'll do that tomorrow.
Can I ask a question about that play that I'm very confused about, and I intentionally did not look up so I could just ask you guys and see what you thought? So they kicked that ball from the 50, right? Mm-hmm. Because of the personal foul on, was it Deron Payne? On the extra point. So they kicked it from the 50, meaning that penalty was assessed for a personal foul. By kicking from the 50, the penalty is being assessed. Mm-hmm. He kicked the ball out of bounds. And instead of starting on the 40, they started at their own 25, Washington, and they said, that's the assessment of the penalty. That makes no sense to me.
That's twice.
How is it that you can, if
oh, yeah.
It feels like double jeopardy to me, but they never even really stopped down to talk about it.
I guess it just must be if you kick it out of bounds, it's just X amount of yardage from the kickoff spot. So the rule is not you start at the 40. The rule is you start 35 yards, whatever.
25 yards from the
where the
kickoff
kickoff was, yeah. So because same thing, if the penalty went the other way and they're kicking off from the 15 and they kick it out of bounds, then it should be put more towards midfield.
Okay, so
that makes sense, but I've never heard that.
That does
before.
make sense. It's from the kickoff spot, not from the regular spot that you would usually return from.
Right. We just identify it as the 40, but it's actually whatever.
Huh.
I've never.
So that
seen
wasn't that bad to kick it out of bounds.
No, I feel like we've talked about that with him.
I must have forgot.
Okay.
To kick it out of bounds there, no. I mean, you might as well.
Yeah. So it was.
You might as well try to
pin him.
He
muffed it, but that was actually totally intentional.
He probably didn't mean to hit her.
Oh, that guy can aim. I mean, he can hit the goalpost if he wants.
Would have been funnier if he'd have done it the week they were playing. The other time they played was at Washington, right? And their kicker was dating a cheerleader.
Yeah.
And all could just drills.
Yeah.
Hit Rowdy. So Trey Lance finally gets in. Cooper Rush gets screwed on his incentives. We were talking all last week about different incentives that people have.
Yeah.
Apparently Cooper Rush, $500,000?
Yeah,
like he started a certain amount of.
There was a
certain percentage of the plays.
He'd already gotten the 250. I think this would have been 250 more, not another 500.
So I don't understand. Trey Lance, I don't think he looked horrible.
No.
In fact, he looked just as good as I guess Cooper Rush would look. He certainly has. He's not as careful with the ball as Cooper Rush, but he offers more athleticism than Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush can't break out of the pocket. You can't design runs for Cooper Rush, and I just don't understand at all their thought process on what they were doing to have Cooper, like you knew what Cooper Rush was when Dak got hurt. Unless you have a head coach who feels that he needs to win as many games as he can to try to trick an old man into giving him another guaranteed contract, so I'm going to start Cooper Rush. Like, it's really an odd situation.
It is.
We should have been watching Trey Lance for weeks just to see. Let's see what happens to him when people make adjustments to Trey Lance's game. Let's see when people can prepare for Trey Lance. Because they also gave him this game, two teams that don't really care, and then they didn't really announce it, so they weren't positive that Trey Lance would be starting, and that sometimes makes a difference.
Yeah, it's weird that he's on the team, but I think it is exactly what you said. I think that McCarthy thought, well, a better showing could give me a better chance of sticking around here. I also think Jerry wanted to play Cooper Rush until they were eliminated from the playoffs.
That seems weird.
Because a couple things break this way.
They were eliminated
that way.
last week, though, and they didn't play him.
I know, but CD was still playing, so I kind of feel like that had something to do with it. No, wait, he didn't play.
Wouldn't that help Trey Lance?
Yeah, I think they just wanted to make sure he got the
1,000 yards.
The 1,000 yards and the I don't know,
man.
But it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It doesn't make sense why he's on the team. But I think they look at fourth-round picks. Clearly, that's the level at which they say, this is not worth that much, but maybe we could do a little sizzle here. Because, Mingo was a second-round pick, and a lot of people thought he was going to be A.J. Brown. They'll do that. They'll give you a second-round pick for some guy that people used to think was a future Hall of Famer. But if it's a boring running back, they're like, I don't know. Just another Rico Dowdle. But I don't think Dak was ever not going to be re-signed. Cooper Rush was always going to give you a better chance to win. Trey Lance is certainly more exciting. I don't see any way he's back here next year. Unless they just decide he can be the backup and Cooper Rush is too expensive, which I would bring Cooper Rush back almost no matter what.
He's fine.
He's fine. He's not Mariota. But
what do you mean by that?
I think Mariota's a real good backup quarterback.
Okay.
Maybe the system is helping a little bit, but there's a crop of dudes. Like Gardner Minshew's one. At this point, what's his name? Mac Jones might be one. Guys who can win games if things go right. And I think Cooper Rush is in that second tier. He's basically the Dak of backup quarterbacks.
Just boring, but can get the
most
job
part,
done.
Yeah. For the most part. And then other than that, Micah. Just watching Micah do Micah. It's always going to be fun.
Yeah, he got a couple sacks right on the first drive.
Yeah.
Even Mozzie got a sack yesterday.
That'll be an interesting one to watch this offseason.
Why? Is it his fifth-year option time?
No, I just think that he has another year, but he's not really been – he's gotten better, but he's not really been good, and they could still get out of that if they wanted.
A big topic, of course, is McCarthy. I think we're going to try and get into that a lot here in a little bit because Jerry talked at length about McCarthy in his post-game thing. But, yeah, Trey Lance, I guess he'll just become a free agent, and I don't know that anyone would sign him for more than their practice squad. Maybe.
You don't think somebody else,
maybe heavily incentive-laden,
if Dallas were to sign him for a 1 or 2 year deal, would offer them a fourth?
No. It's ridiculous. Oh, you're joking to me. Like, what are you saying?
No, I don't think anybody will offer them anything for it makes no sense. It was ridiculous.
So, on the one hand, it was great that they didn't play him because nobody got to see.
So many chess games going on. I like watching him play. It's wild, but it's fun. It's different.
Yeah. No, that's why I thought it would have been nice to see him play for a few games. Like 5 games. Give him a nice little stretch. Let's just see. Let's see, can McCarthy be innovative?
They tried a couple things yesterday I was surprised by. Whether it was like a pistol where they had Dowdle and Lipke back there, or the keepers where they basically just ran a full, sweep. They tried a couple things. But it's still McCarthy. And Brandon made all his field goals.
Yeah, they said early in the game,
LA.
like he set the Cowboy record for field goals. I was very surprised by that. How many does he have this year?
It's not on the internet.
No. Yeah. There's no way to know.
But that's also a pretty rough stat. That means
their red zone performance was terrible. Yeah.
And that should not be the case if you're playing with a mobile quarterback.
Damn, he made 40 this year.
That's a lot.
A ton.
I think Chris Boswell
Almost
made
2.5 a game.
41 to lead the league. So he almost led the league. Is he an All-Pro again this year?
He's on the short list, but I'd have to look at the others. I mean, he's a Pro Bowler.
You know, Mahomes isn't even a Pro Bowler.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a sort
Think
of
of it. Burrow, Allen,
personal slight we take to heart over here.
and Lamar.
Oh, he didn't have that great of a year.
No,
And
not
just
not
numbers-wise.
statistically. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Not that great of a year. He went 15-1.
Right. The AFC is stacked.
Got some Deuce Vaughn,
Yeah.
who I now think of Dan anytime he's on the field.
Why?
Just because I know you're disgusted by the fact that they made a Disney movie draft pick.
Well, you didn't get any Zeke.
No, you didn't.
Signed with the Lions?
That happened? Or you're kidding?
Or the Eagles?
Well,
Who did he
the
sign
Eagles
with?
were on his short list, weren't they?
Oh, he had a list.
Do you remember that? When he went to New England? It was the Bengals. It was like, wasn't it the year that it was
It was the Bengals, the
in
Eagles.
the Super Bowl teams? He's like, all right, 49ers, Bengals, Eagles, Chiefs.
The thing is, you just need those teams to also have an interest. So, Mark Sanchez, let's talk Mark Sanchez.
Okay, we'll talk Mark Sanchez. He probably won't ever come down from this inflection on his voice in the sentence. He's going to throw it deep here. If they catch it, it'll be a first down.
He's
really good to Dak, his rookie year.
He's horrible
I respect him.
on these games. Here's him talking about Zeke.
Yeah, and I could see him going somewhere as an insurance policy for somebody. I mean, he's still got plenty of tread left on the tires, especially for a playoff run.
Yep.
Kind of a weird situation all year for him.
Yeah.
Didn't quite know what his role was going to be in training camp. They kind of rested him, so you thought, okay, they're keeping him fresh for
He
the
does
season.
talk up there.
He's a veteran. And then when the games came, he just didn't get a ton of carries, and Dowdle kind of took over. So unfortunate for Zeke in his return, but just didn't work out for both sides, and I'm glad they gave him an opportunity to potentially pursue a Super Bowl.
I'm glad you finished a sentence with a period the way it's supposed to sound.
An opportunity
Yep.
to potentially pursue a Super Bowl.
The assistant to the assistant district manager.
So
That's insane.
this is the thing. Mark Sanchez doesn't really say anything. He doesn't have an opinion except for everybody's great because he said about Zeke.
Yeah, and I could see him going somewhere as an insurance policy for somebody. I mean, he's still got plenty of tread left on the tires.
Plenty of tread left on the tires when he's talking about Marcus Mariota, who he mispronounces his name every time.
He's got plenty of gas left in the tank. You can tell he's got a suddenness to him and a burst in the pocket.
He's just telling you everybody's great. He kept saying Mariota, which it's not a big deal, but it is pronounced Mariota, and everybody else gets it right. So this was interesting to me. I didn't know what this meant, but this was after a big catch by Washington.
You see Zacchaeus seals the edge, and there goes Bates. We used to call this the old white trash route. Show like you're going to run a corner and then go across the field.
Why would that be called a white trash route?
Why? Why is that tight end position
Oh, I thought he
trash?
said white trash.
No, you're like me with 32. I'm gay.
I swear to God he says
no,
that.
it's why. It's the
We used to
wide.
call this the old white trash route. Show like you're
Yeah.
going to run a corner and then go across the field.
I will not believe you.
Well,
he said
it's
white
the guy
trash.
who's playing Y, and he ran like the pickup route, the pickup trash route. But yes, it would be very funny.
I was like, why is it called the white trash route? I love that stuff because there are so many non-politically correct things that they say in sports
Oh yeah,
that they won't bring to the broadcast.
yeah.
They won't be Parcells, the Jap play. Or no, was that
That was Jap play.
Zimmer? He's like, yeah, I love that Mike Zimmer.
And Peyton.
He's got that
He's
Jap.
talking about both of them.
Oh, he was talking about
How
that?
they'll surprise each other in practice.
We call it a Jap play.
Shout
You
out,
know, Japanese. And everybody's like, whoa, yeah, really?
No
Okay.
disrespect.
shout out Mike Zimmer, by the way.
Engaged?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
She's older than I thought.
Yeah, it said 41.
yeah.
So we're not waiting until the season's out? We're doing it like now?
Well, your quarterback did it during the season.
You had a week. You have a week to wait. Why?
Maybe she's pregnant.
Or a New Year's thing, was it?
Perhaps. Let's see. I mean, I'm looking at the post here. I don't know.
The New Year's thing is good for the dude.
Because you only got to do one thing.
Because he'll remember it.
Yeah, that's
good. But
the
lady might be like, oh, I want a different day so it can be somewhere else, you know.
Yeah, so his wife has been dead for a long time, so I thought we had a close one here. Because Jerry was in an interview like, hey, you know, if anybody knows what this guy's been through, his wife passed away at 50 in 2009, and then his son, who was 38, died from chronic alcohol disorder in 2002. That is hard to do by the age of 38. And I believe
chronic alcohol disorder, does that just mean
everything
you're an alcoholic?
shuts down?
You just
but
drink
like
so much?
Yeah. It's not even like a, quote, overdose type thing. It's just you've done enough for long enough that your body cannot function or recover. But now he's married to a Eastern European blonde that is 30 years younger than him.
Good for him, man.
Yeah, there you go. Look.
Good for him.
That's a man who once wore an eye patch on an NFL sideline. It actually happened.
And then Mark Sanchez, they were talking about Rico Dowdle going over 1,000 yards.
He never had a 100-yard game. He's had 4 in the last 5 weeks, coming off 104 last week against the Eagles.
And remember, 1,000 yards in this league in a season is no small feat.
Really? Troy Aikman was broadcasting on Sunday night the Steelers game, Steelers-Bengals. Najee Harris, they were showing a graphic how Najee Harris had like 1,200 yards, but then like 3 seasons in a row he had like 1,035 yards, 1,034. Like it was really weird how close to 1,000 he was. Like he was barely getting 1,000 yards. So they were talking about that.
And he has had 4 straight 1,000-yard seasons. The Steelers declined his 5th-year option.
I think it's probably time we raise the bar on 1,000-yard running back seasons with 17 games. I mean, there was a time 1,000 yards was quite an accomplishment, but not so much anymore.
So that's the thing, Mark Sanchez. You have to say something. You have to have a real opinion. You can't just be like, hey, that's great. He's great. I'm great. We're all great. And Troy's right. It's kind of like right now if I said, hey, look at that. Baker Mayfield had 3,000 yards passing this year. You'd be like, okay. Like everybody should have 3,000 yards. That's kind of the low bar for a starting NFL quarterback nowadays.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, on one hand, maybe you could say like the guys split time more, but if you were good, you wouldn't be splitting that much time, and Le'Veon Bell really isn't. You know what I'm saying? Like
Najee Harris.
Excuse me, yeah, Najee Harris. But not that many guys are getting 25 carries a game for, 16, 17 games. But
a 1,500-yard season is very impressive.
Right.
1,000 yards now, they just highlighted he just started getting 100-yard games.
But the point also is just that Troy's willing to be like, I don't like this. This is not good.
Yeah.
And Sanchez will not. I'm not going to criticize anyone.
Do you know what else Mark Sanchez loves? Well, this was there was that muffed punt.
Push your guy. If you can't get to the returner, push your guy into him. That's completely legal. You can't touch him yourself. But that was a rookie mistake by McCaffrey there, and a huge change of momentum.
Oh, the Cowboys got the momentum there, did they? Huh? The Washington had a dropped touchdown.
Right there, right after we highlighted him, he's going to have to pay a little fine in that wide receiver room. That's a no-brainer touchdown and a momentum swinger. Tough drop for him.
Momentum swinger. And then at the end of the half.
By the way, that was badass.
That play?
Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen it run like that.
So what was it? A reverse?
Yeah, but they had it look like that was going to be the guy who was coming left was going to be the fake, and they had somebody coming behind him, like around. But they flipped it to him, and he's left-handed.
It looked very cool.
And I'm like, whoa, I've never seen anybody try that before.
I think Cliff would be a fun offensive coordinator.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
But then the end of the half, you get the ball. They were talking about Trey Lance had the ball, and what they're trying to do there.
And this is their chance, with Trey in the game like this, to remind him in the headset, hey, we're trying to double up on points. We get the second half kick. Let's go down and ensure we get at least a field goal, if not a touchdown. And then we come back in that third quarter with some momentum and go score again.
Yes, you get a field goal at the end of the first half. You know what you go into the second half with? Momentum. But they didn't. And then I'll just give you the rest of my stuff, which is the Adam Amin stuff. Just a couple little clips for you. This was heading into the third quarter, I believe, as this game is garbage. We're watching it because it's our job. Maybe Brandon Aubrey will hit another cheerleader. Like, I didn't know what I'm still watching this game for, but he told me how good this game was.
And he'll take it into the red zone. That should take us to the end of quarter number 3. Still a lot to play for, especially for the Commanders.
All right, even as he says it, you can tell he doesn't believe it. He's trying, there's a lot. Don't tune out.
Play for, especially for the Commanders. They're playing for seeding. Packers are trailing the Bears in the third. Mariota is trying to put together some nice tape. Dallas trying to close out the season strong, beat up on their rival. Going to the fourth quarter here in Arlington.
So Mariota's tape. I'm supposed to watch this game because Mariota is trying to put together good tape, is basically what he told me.
Yeah, and the whole rivalry where the guy who we all loved in Dallas is the head coach over there.
It'd
now.
be great to
whatever.
I mean, this would be better than making the playoffs if we could just somehow win this
ruin
game.
their season.
Sure.
Adam Amin does try to be cool, and you could do that sometimes with distance, like if you get a sack or then a penalty and then a sack, and now you have it's a long. Now you have to punt.
So it's 4th and Fort Worth here.
Oh, right on. Yeah, okay.
But were they going west?
In any case, that's not that good, though.
Arlington's right next to Fort Worth.
Not that
That's
far.
a really bad
and
one.
It's way better when
That'd be like 4th and 2.
It's way better like when Berman or even Followell now does one kind of obscure. Yeah,
4th and Wiley. 4th and
Yeah.
Fort Worth. It's like
Yeah.
the 18th biggest city in America or something. Put some respect on us.
And then you said Adam Amin is trying to kind of be bro and trying to let you know that he's young, and he talks like young people talk.
Daniels loved that 33-yard sprint on the keep by Mariota.
Daniels said, hey, go ahead, old man. Unhitch the trailer, baby.
Might have called him Unk right there.
I bet he didn't. I bet he did not. You're aware of the slang "unk" for older colleague, but that's about as far as I'm gonna take that one.
Mark Sanchez loves. It was even the fourth quarter. Got to keep pounding. He loves to set up the run, or he loves to establish the run.
Well, yeah.
He likes to establish the run,
He
run
didn't like
the rock.
having to throw the football.
Like hand off to Reggie Bush and what, LT?
So I had to look at Mark Sanchez.
Did you see how this is a tough spot because the guy was a really good player in college.
Who? Mark Sanchez? Okay.
Yeah, but when they do his little subheading when they introduce him, it just says former 5th overall draft pick.
Which is impressive.
Yeah, but I mean he was in the league for like a decade.
Yeah, he did make a conference championship.
I thought he made 2.
Yeah.
In my head, he was in 2 conference championships, so I thought, hey, he's pretty good. So let's play. Don't look at it. Or are you looking at his stats already?
I will close now without looking again.
Let's play Guess the Stats.
All I saw was the record.
So you saw his record. I thought it was better. 37-36.
That's not surprising to me because he really had like 2 years where the team was good.
Mm-hmm.
8-year career. 2 seasons over 3,000 yards passing.
Ball
Well,
control.
that was a different era, right? No. His career started in 2009.
Yeah.
Romo's career started in, basically 2006, where he actually got to play. And we would say Romo's numbers are inflated because he played in this inflated era where everybody throws for lots of yards. Nope, not everybody. Not Mark Sanchez. How about the touchdowns to interceptions? How do you think that's looking? For instance, I'll tell you that Romo had 248 touchdowns and 117 interceptions.
Is Sanchez about even?
86 touchdowns, 89 interceptions.
Dang it!
Look, he's got to honor Broadway
So he didn't
Joe.
even
That's a Sammy Baugh
but he didn't even keep
touchdown ratio.
He didn't even he's in the take care of the ball era too.
Yeah.
So he didn't throw for a lot of yards, and he had more interceptions than touchdowns.
This is the 5th overall pick.
Oh, let's see. Let's do McCarthy stuff.
Sure.
Obviously,
Football.
It was funny. He goes into his postgame expecting to talk about the game, but every question is, are you going to be back? Do you think you should be back?
Then he expected the wrong thing.
So,
yeah, I don't even buy that.
No.
Well,
I thought we were going to talk about football.
I think Clarence asked a question about the game first, but then our buddy Tim kicks it off in a good way.
He's looking for Brad
Tim
Chan.
Kalish, Dallas Sporting News. Do you feel like your body of work after 5 years suggests you should be back for another year?
Oh, I've a lot of confidence in myself as a head coach, but I think like anything, body of work, the statistics. I think it's more about the program, the details of what needs to be done, how can we get better. All those things go into these decisions of whether you originally get the job or continue to move forward. So I'm definitely in a position with Jerry to move the program forward. I mean, there's no question about that in my mind. So that's why these conversations need to happen here in the near future.
I find that interesting that he's actually even answering it. Like he's negotiating in the press here.
Right.
Like that's
Look at the stats.
That's behind closed door stuff. But he's like, yeah, that and not just the stats, because we all can see my record.
Right.
But it's the program. It's the way things are moving. It's like he wants to remind Jerry publicly, which is very interesting to me.
And if you remember last year, I think people were calling for his head after the Packers playoff game, and I think there was some uncertainty with Jerry.
There's no food down there.
And you remember it came down to a meeting with Jerry and McCarthy where McCarthy basically gave him all the reasons why he should come back for his final year, and Jerry let him. So I unfortunately, yeah, that's a weird time to be negotiating through the press of like, hey, yeah, I think I'm deserving of this job. But unfortunately, that comes with the territory of working with Jerry Jones where that stuff might matter.
It's all weird. It's weird that Dak gets asked about it, and Dak feels like he needs to weigh in to put a little pressure on Jerry to remind him that, hey, his opinion counts too. Jerry's been asked about it every week for the last 2 months.
And honestly, these questions for McCarthy have been waiting for weeks.
Yeah.
They were just waiting for the season to end. Now, the funny thing, though, is each reporter has their own spin on the same question. Are you going to be back next year? But everyone wants to say, what have you learned through this? Do you want to be back? Do you think they have their own question written down? And so he's asked the same question 4, 5, or 6 times.
I'm sure he loves it.
And he got kind of tired of it towards the end. To me, he went kind of full Ricky Bobby here.
To come back here after your contract expires?
I understand why you ask the questions. I don't like to talk about myself that way, but I'll just be clear. I'm a winner. I know how to win. I've won a championship. I won a championship in this building, and that's who I am. So, and we'll see where it goes.
Dang. A red-blooded winning machine.
That was pretty hardcore for McCarthy.
Now, there's minutes and minutes of build-up.
Oh, there must have been a couple other that were won in this building. Huh. Me? Just me. It's weird.
I thought it was great.
Like, throwing that in there is about as aggressive as I've heard him be on that floor.
Yeah, never.
And his tone when he says it.
Because a guy that he's 174 and 112. It's a great record.
It's much better than Mark Sanchez.
Yeah, and
much
but
better.
I mean, Belichick has that kind of record too, but he wouldn't say that. You don't have to say it if you are.
Yeah, maybe you only have to say it because you're dealing with Jerry.
Listen to his tone.
To come back here after your contract expires.
I understand why you ask the questions. I don't like to talk about myself that way, but I'll just be clear. I'm a winner. I know how to win. I've won a championship. I won a championship in this building, and
won a championship in this building.
Yeah, that's pretty.
It's pretty great.
It's pretty aggressive.
So one more thing from McCarthy. Some people are saying, well, the offense kind of sucked. Would you consider hiring an OC that called plays?
Coach, to be the head coach, do you feel like you have to be the primary play caller?
I don't think that's I think like anything, I think you have to look at the whole picture. I think, I look at what helps us, what gives us the best, chance to win on Sundays. And when I'm old-fashioned, I still write up the job descriptions, still write up the job.
Fast forward 30 seconds. No. If I'm here, I'm calling plays.
Yeah, that's where they put themselves in a bit of a tough spot here. You'd rather still have that option on the table to keep him around. But you don't.
But then it's the Kellen thing all over again. It's not his offense. Yeah,
but they were good.
Yeah.
I mean, they were good last year too.
So he's 12th all time in NFL victories. Sean Payton.
You guys get to watch Rain Man at work.
Sean Payton is 16th. Harbaugh is 14th. John Harbaugh, that is.
His resume is very similar to Sean Payton's.
Tomlin is 11th. Andy Reid 4th. If all those guys are free, like what's the pecking order there? Where does he fit in if he's a free agent? Like if Mike Tomlin's a free agent, does another team hire him?
Yeah. I would say all
Andy
of them.
Reid?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like who gets hired quicker? And I would suggest Mike McCarthy would be hired last amongst that list I just mentioned.
Probably. But maybe it's because he doesn't do that well with PR, and now he's realizing he needs to. Because Sean Payton, you don't have to ask him how great he is. He'll tell you.
So Micah was asked in the post game, hey, do you think your head coach should be back?
Going in and talking about contracts, obviously Coach McCarthy, Coach Zimmer, everybody on expiring contracts. Would you like to make it clear now? Do you want them back, and what would that mean to you for them to come back?
I learned a long time. It's not about what I want. In this business, I'm not the owner. I'm not the GM. I'm part of the entertainment. they got to decide they want me back. So that's you asking the wrong question to the wrong guy, to be honest.
Interesting. So all right. So yeah, I learned already it's not what I want.
Okay.
Parentheses, I wanted Dan Quinn to be the head coach.
Yeah.
And it's also interesting that this has changed from like 3 weeks ago.
He learned from that too.
Yeah, he was saying I want Mike McCarthy back.
Well, he said that after
6 weeks ago.
Yeah, whenever he focused on Zach Martin, and everybody got mad at him for that.
more important to me than Mike McCarthy.
It is funny, though, because really nothing has changed other than Quinn leaving. So it's clear that when he says, well, I guess what I want doesn't really matter, he just means McCarthy being there, right? He's like, yeah, that's I kind of made it known I didn't want that.
Yeah.
That didn't change.
And especially after yesterday's game, he's looking over there.
Oh, yeah.
Looking at Dan Quinn.
Mm-hmm.
He's all Dan Quinn-y.
Yeah.
He's all cool. His hat's backwards.
Now, Mike Zimmer is nailing a chick almost half his age.
But I thought that part was funny because all the players are asked post-game, what would it mean to you to bring McCarthy back? Oh, it'd mean the world. I love him. This locker room didn't quit for him. Mike is like, don't ask me.
I don't know.
I
just dance.
So here's this will check a box with Dan. They ask him about just the team rallying around McCarthy at the end of the year, and we get the check mark of the team didn't quit, and so he says he's proud of their effort, and then he also answers about Mike Zimmer.
When you think about the second half of this season, what did you learn most about Mike McCarthy? What about the way he led his team?
I would say I would say he didn't give up. That really
kept coming in every day.
I understand he's fighting to be back and to be a part of this unit still. But no, just staying in locked in every day, not giving up on the guys, taking what he's gotten between quarterbacks, the running back situation, O-line situation, and got innovative and tried to make the best of his situations.
What would it mean to you to have Zim back?
If I got Zim back, awesome. I think Zim I want to come back. I told you, I think, he's ready to ride off in the sunset. To him, it's not even about money anymore. I think he got to want to do it, but, he's my guy. We're going to have dinner next week. We say we're going to have dinner before I head off on my off-season adventures. But, man, if he comes back and the conversation is right and he gets compensated right, because the way he's held up, missing out corners, missing D linemen and did his thing, he's definitely earned the opportunity himself.
Doesn't sound like he's coming back.
No, not at all.
No, he's got a marriage to tend to now.
Yeah.
I also like again, I'm hyper focused on this, so maybe I'm making something out of nothing. But when Micah says like, yeah, he kind of had to deal with what he had with as far as the running back situation, he means like this old fuck that they brought back in here to mope around. And by the way, I guess this is obvious, but I was looking at it this morning, and the Zeke stopped caring and Zeke stopped getting touches are just when Dak got hurt. Like, he did have 6 in the one game after that where he had the fumble. I think it might have been Philly. Was Cooper Rush's first start. And from there, he never had more than, it was 1, 2, 3. It was about 1.5 carries a game. So whether Dak was fighting for him and advocating for him every week, or it just felt like, oh, look, Dak's there, his buddy's there, they're going to give him 6, 7, 8 carries a game, it pretty much stopped when Dak got hurt, which I found interesting.
Yeah. That's interesting.
So I'll give you a little bit
Let me do a couple more.
Okay.
I'm sorry. So apparently Jerry spoke to the team post-game.
Yes.
And this is from our buddy Jordan Lewis, who kind of indicates that McCarthy's going to be back.
How emotional was the locker room when Jerry talked and obviously when Mike talked?
He just really stamped Coach Mike. Honestly, that he's definitely, it's a good chance of him coming back, and we're excited for that because we wanted another shot at this because Coach McCarthy gave me a second chance, on my second contract. So I'll always be grateful for him, and hopefully we can see if that's reciprocated.
So in front of the team, it seems like he's going to bring McCarthy back.
It's blowing that way for sure. All indications. All the reports, all the vibes.
That Diana Rossini?
Yeah.
Somebody from The Athletic reported that kind of last week.
Yeah. It all worked. Troy, Dak, the full court press they put on.
So I'll leave you with this. I think McCarthy had a plant in his post-game press conference. Now, we call this like the Brad Sham effect, where it's like, okay, Lucky Whitehead's arrest. Well, tell me about how Zach Martin's playing right now. There's always a redirect to football. And I think McCarthy had one, and the first few questions were about McCarthy's future, then in comes plant.
Those components in place to get this thing where it needs to be, and I think we have a very good foundation there.
Elwin Henderson-Gilmore, Mike, your thoughts on Trey Lance? He had a great game today.
Yeah, I thought Trey played well today.
Did he?
He did not have a great game. He did play well. Where did that guy say he was from?
I had a hard time picking up. He's been there all year, but
I recognize the voice.
Elwin Henderson-Gilmore, Mike, your thoughts on Trey Lance? He had a great game today.
And then things were picking up steam again with his future in doubt. This is from later in the press conference.
This is an incredible fan base.
Well, Mike, certainly 7-10 is not what you anticipated when the season began, but you look at all of the major injuries that you had. Do you look back now and think what could have been?
Hold on, there's an act here.
Able to stay healthy?
I'm still stuck on 7-10. That just knocked me over. Yeah, that just doesn't sound right. What happens regardless of the record.
I need you to bring up the injuries. No one's talking about the injuries and how I couldn't win with a backup quarterback.
That was weird.
7-10. It just doesn't really resonate because I'm the 12th most winning head coach of all time.
Ray Stone Jr. in there.
Just a winner.
So I'll play you a little bit of Jerry stuff from the postgame. This is something that just happens, and it's frustrating if you're on one end of it, but it's also kind of funny. There's really no decorum. Well, there's a decorum, but there's no real written rules on how to ask questions in press conferences and gangbangs. Unless you're at like a big one like the Tyson fight and you have to submit and then they call on you, That can happen, but for the most part, it's just who's going to start talking whenever the subject stops talking. So this is funny because I have a few clips here where one of our good friends got caught up in this. The first question to Jerry is referencing a comment he made on The Fan on Friday, where the basic question was, is there anything that could happen this weekend that would alter the way you're thinking about the coaching staff? And he went with the hay is already in the barn. So that's not to say that he's already made a decision to keep him or not, I guess, but to say that all the information that he needs to make that decision has already been gathered. Did you just mute me?
No.
When you said Friday that the hay is in the barn about McCarthy and the coaches, does that mean, have you made up your mind on Mike McCarthy?
No. Well, the point is that all that I'm going to look at, I was answering that question, and that was, does the outcome of this game really impact his future? And I said no. All of the things I'll consider are hay's in the barn.
All right, so now here's an interesting follow-up.
Report came out that you want McCarthy back, but maybe others in the building don't. Is there any truth to that?
Well, I again, at the risk of talking about something that I don't want to talk about at this time, but we've got a lot of work to do, but certainly we're all looking for ways to get better.
Hold on. Notice, he didn't really answer that question. He didn't say, no, we're all on the same page, or no, we're all pulling in the same direction. He just kind of skated on that one.
Certainly we're all looking for ways to get better.
5 years ago, with 22.
Okay. Right there at the end, you hear our friend Saad try to start his question.
What was he trying?
Get better.
5 years ago, with 22.
So he started with 5 years ago, right? Let's keep this press conference going.
And so you really got some improvement there, really, that I give Rush a lot of credit for.
Jerry, 5 years ago with...
Why not just see Trey Lance a game earlier?
Okay, didn't get it in there. Let's keep going.
He did really earn some pretty serious incentives this year.
5 years ago with
Trey Lance.
Excuse me. I thought he really played well.
By time 3.
Did he ever get it?
Well, we'll get to that. So there's a thing Bob and Dan used to call the punchline in meetings. We would have meetings every day before the show, and if you had pitched something and it kept not getting on that day's show, you just stop. You're like, all right, this is becoming a punchline. Like, maybe we're not actually going to get, Michelle Tafoya today or whatever, or we're not going to talk about this documentary. Like, you feel sheepish continuing to bring it up. I feel like if you try 3 times with a question and you get the first 4 to 6 words out each time, you are dangerously close to scrapping it and starting over. You know what I mean? And Saad is 18 inches from Jerry's face. So Jerry's heard him start this question 3 times, and finally Saad's like, F it.
Today against this team, wanted to take a good look at Lance.
Jerry, 5 years ago with Jason Garrett, the way that situation played out for a week, were you happy with the way that process went? Were you satisfied with that?
Well,
it's a good question, right? But listen to how little hang time there is between Jerry and Saad this time.
Wanted to take a good look at Lance.
Jerry, 5 years ago with Jason Garrett, the way that...
He's like, look, no chance.
That's good persistence.
We're getting this question in. I thought that was funny. And then this is kind of an interesting thing to get us into some McCarthy talk, some today, some tomorrow. They're discussing, like, there's a window where McCarthy and Dallas can negotiate exclusively. And then past that window, he could still be back, but he can talk to other teams.
I've had coaches under contract that I thought we might consider a change, and they were thinking maybe a change under contract. So this business of under or out of contract is not an influencer with me at all.
You're not concerned about other teams?
Well, but that's I wouldn't want a coach here that want to be someplace else.
So if a guy's like, hey, I'd like to interview for other jobs to make sure I have one, you're like, oh, you want to work somewhere else and we don't even want you. I don't think he actually would follow through on that, but that's like the dumbest business decision I can possibly imagine someone making. I know, you want to work for
the thought is, if indeed your mind is made up that I want him, then why are we doing this now?
Right.
Why would you even let him go out somewhere? If you think he's that good, that I want to give him guaranteed money for another 5 years here.
Or whatever amount.
Why haven't they been talking about it? So I pick it up there where I listened to the last half of the Jerry gangbang after the game because they're talking McCarthy contract. Let's see how this starts.
Most of the fans that I have, most of the fans want everybody to be on the incentive plan.
Okay, that's where we're going to lead into this. Talking about maybe an incentive-based contract. Like that'd be better for a coach.
Most of the fans that I have, most of the fans want everybody to be on the incentive plan. Everybody wants it to be on the incentive plan. And so the more you can have the incentive plan, to me, the better you've got the way sports is aligned with sports. And
Okay, I kind of know what he's saying. Like, you are rewarded for doing well and winning. That's how sports works, and that's how ultimately sports can be most
aligned with sports.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if we're doing things based on what most fans want,
and incentives.
So fans want incentive plans. I would guess most fans want me to remain general manager of this team and make every move.
There it is. It's like Putin running for president or something. He's like, oh my, 99%
voted. Yeah,
did it again.
Incentive plan. To me, the better you've got the way sports is aligned with sports and a goal of having accomplishment, and you align that with the financial end of it. For instance, I might say, look, I'm going to pay you this much, but then I'll pay you not any more, and I know you want twice that. But if you get to the playoffs or you win a Super Bowl, I'll give you 5 times that.
But the guy across the street might say, I'm going to give it to you without any escalator.
Exactly, and then you've got a decision. For sure.
But how can he know that if he's not allowed to talk to you until January 14th?
Then I would say, go talk. I really would. Okay. Go talk.
So it sounds like you
I just let Zeke do that.
Gotcha.
Oh, my God, yeah.
I don't want anybody here. That's not healthy to have somebody around that wants to be someplace else. Really, it's not.
So back to what you were just playing.
Yeah.
Go ahead and talk. Because if you want to go there, then that's the thing. Like, you don't really value him. You don't really value head coach overall. And we're going to get to more of that, I guess, as he keeps talking about this stuff.
It's called tolerance for ambiguity.
What?
The highest, no, exactly. The example is the Mississippi riverboat gambler. He's his most charming. He's his most glib. He's his cleverest. When on the next card, he could get thrown overboard, or on the next card on the boat. That's when he's the best. If you put someone like that and he knows for sure what's going to happen at the end of the night, you won't see his full potential to go. So you've got to have a tolerance for ambiguity to be on the incentive plan. Those that have it are war daddies in a lot of ways.
You have your list ready.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Just all of it. And as you pointed out, it is hilarious that he is saying, like, that's what true men are made out of.
Right.
But he's not really subjected to that at all.
They don't feel it. They're not upset at this or that.
You have your list ready.
Did you follow that?
I think so.
Well, I'll clear it up for you if you want to. Okay, but go back and look at it. But the point is, some people work better. Some people don't. Some people have to know that they want the check at the end of the day.
Yeah. And then that's pretty much what I got from the McCarthy talk. I suppose I could say, you know what, I'll save this other stuff. He talks about he's defining all in again.
Oh, good. Good.
And then we're going to get
That's
into...
going to be the motto next season, too.
Yeah, but the motto next season, really, he already kind of started this. I can't remember if it was Friday or whatever, but I promise you it's going to be this. all the experience that these guys gained this year by being thrown into the fire, they're just that much better than they would have been had they not played. And then you come and just add guys who were hurt to that. So Cooper Beebe, what a steal. You got a starter right there. Tyler Guyton got his bad year out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler Guyton. DeMarvion Overshone, even though we don't know if he'll ever walk again, a lot of tread on those tires. Still hasn't played many games, right? Dak, what happened last time he got hurt? Came back, he was great. It's going to be about growth from within and how they're really well positioned to take that next step because all these guys were thrown to the fire.
I mean, you're going to get DeMarcus Lawrence back, maybe. I guess you'd have to sign him. But
I could see Lawrence and Martin both being gone, but Sam Williams was hurt. Sam Williams is so poised to take over for DeMarcus Lawrence opposite Micah Parsons. That guy was killing it when he was healthy. That's basically a draft pick or a free agent signing right there.
And Trayvon and Deron Bland really didn't play together this season.
Barely at all.
So that's like 2 players back right
Bring back Jordan Lewis and you're set right there. That's what it's going to be. It's funny because I was thinking about that this morning, wrote a column for the D Magazine sports page. They just were like, hey, when we wrap up the season, it's not like they wanted to write about the Week 18 game. But it was interesting because it was something I've been thinking about over the last couple weeks. And then Jerry made an appearance on Taylor Sheridan's Landman.
Awesome.
Over the weekend, which we played a clip from before. It's the Texas-based show about the oil and gas industry. It stars Billy Bob Thornton. John Hamm is in it. In the pilot, they're at a spring game because that's what people do in Texas, where his daughter's talking to him about
high school, right?
Yeah, high school.
A high school spring game.
Yeah, is talking to him about what she does with her boyfriend. A couple other viral clips that have gone viral. Billy Bob Thornton talking to some liberal arts libtard in a field about how wind power's gay or something. I don't know. It turns out everything he was saying was kind of not true, but it sounded great because it was Billy Bob Thornton with sunglasses in a field. And I have no idea the backstory or the context of what happened on this week's episode, but somehow John Hamm, who I guess I gather is like Billy Bob Thornton's business partner in some way. Do either one of you know anything about this? John Hamm does?
John Hamm owns the oil company.
So he's in bed, he's in a hospital bed sick. And Billy Bob is over there. And Jerry is in the room at the bedside. And he is playing Jerry. Very active in, oil and gas, Comstock, when he's taking a break from blockchain com. And so he starts giving this speech. Do you have it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Play it.
Yeah, we're not going to play the video because we want to keep doing a stream. He starts doing this speech, and throughout it, he starts tearing up. And, of course, we know Jerry and Taylor Sheridan have a thing. Of course they do. Taylor Sheridan and the cast of Yellowstone have been at a bunch of games. One of their scheduled release party videos was Yellowstone-themed, remember?
Mm-hmm.
It just makes sense. The Jones family, they own a ranch, their country, whatever. It makes all the sense in the world. So he's given like this impassioned speech, and I thought it was really timely and telling for where the Cowboys are.
My daughter, when I was in my 30s, went.
By the way, there was a band when I was younger, maybe they're still around, called Explosions in the Sky.
Yeah.
And they make instrumental music, and it's incredible. I saw them live a couple times in Austin. It will put you. It's very, very good. It's very emotional music.
Very Friday Night Lights.
Well, I think it became a thing with Friday Night Lights. When Friday Night Lights, the movie, came out, and probably the TV show too, the background in every scene is either Explosions in the Sky or a ripoff of that. And now Landman and a lot of Taylor Sheridan shows do the same. You'll hear it immediately.
My daughter, when I was in my 30s, went to school at Stanford. I couldn't stand it. She was so far from Arkansas. So I'd think of reasons to make trips out there, try to come up with a little business or something. I go out there with her. I get an old office downtown Palo Alto. Jean goes to class with her. I said, I need to get some things going out here if I'm going to spend this kind of time. So I went over to Brentwood, about 20 or 30 miles from San Francisco. And I bought about 25 lots, like I was going to build 25 houses. Except I drilled 4 gas wells. And those 4 gas wells in 18 months paid me enough money for me to buy the Dallas Cowboys. Paying attention to my kids actually led to me getting involved into the passion of my life. And all along, what I was trying to do is hang out near my daughter. A lot of things happened that you didn't have planned or don't have the strategy for. Hey, Tom. Now, I'm not saying I've done anything right, but I made my mind up a long time ago I was going to work with my kids. They're involved in everything. They're involved in my leasing, oil and gas, real estate. And so when I got to Cowboys, I got it so that we could all work together. I thought I was doing it for them. But the one that got the most out of it was me.
Okay, pause it. At this point, he's really... I don't know that Jerry is capable of tearing up without meaning it. Maybe he is.
He's choked up. It looks like he's going to cry.
Yes.
Yeah.
He is choked up as if he's...
like deep in thought about his family and his
I
legacy
believe that's where
and
he
his
is.
life, and he's
Yeah.
80 and
Yeah.
yeah.
I believe maybe somebody else wrote this and he took a look at it and was like, I want to say it like this, but this is just the type of speech Jerry would give if you did a living funeral for him right now.
Like, I thought he was very good.
Yeah.
In this show.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen him on whatever, Arliss or
Entourage
before, and it's not been like this.
It's
But
crazy
this
how
one, he's,
versatile he is. Like, I think he's doing...
he's getting deep.
He's replacing The Rock in the new Fast and Furious.
Didn't you say he was with...
The Sydney Sweeney.
Sydney Sweeney
yeah, the
rom-com?
rom-com 2026, I think is when they're...
Yeah, he's playing Mike Zimmer, and she's playing an Instagram.
Okay.
I thought I was doing it for them. But the one that got the most out of it was me. I just know it's not going to be this time, but you're going to be sitting here sometime in the future, laying here sometime in the future.
Little ad-lib.
And this room's going to be full of your business associates and the people you've worked with all your life. And more than likely, your children and family are going to be there because they're your children and your family. But you could have them there because they're the people you spent your life with, you worked with, you fell down with, you got up with. Not just Thanksgiving and Christmas. That's who you want to be with. So when that time comes like this, it's a celebration of your life, and you're not wishing you'd spend a little more time seeing a few more sons come up. That's the trick. That's the trick. Because that's going to be your glory. But I'm pretty proud of them Cowboys. I'm pretty proud of the stuff we've done in oil and gas. It pales in comparison to how proud I am to have lived my life working with my kids. You got a chance to do something about that. I hope you will. And I'll tell you, young man, you're no spring chicken. And you ought to listen to little Liz yourself.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm a few eggs short of a spring chicken, that's for sure.
Think a lot of both of you guys.
Feelings mutual. Thank you, Jerry.
Okay. Don't make me get my rubber glove out.
Boy. Tell Jeannie I said hi.
Good to see you, Mr. Jones. He's done it wrong. You need to get those leases together. That's...
Okay. Well, so that's the scene. Jerry speaking as Jerry, feeling emotional and feeling as if he's Jerry. You know how we've always said the deal where he'll mention, "Hey, I don't know how much longer I have left," and we always think that it means that they're going to start running the team in some sort of Jerry's got to get a Super Bowl before he dies. That's it. That would be the storybook ending. He's got to get another Super Bowl in these next 5-6 years. I mean, he's 82. But then it occurred to me, That's not what it's about at all. It's a family business. We all know people who run family businesses. How many times is a family business, 3-4 decades of running it with the matriarch or the patriarch in charge, how often do they say, hey, I know I want to leave this to my kids, but before I do, I'm going to start doing some really risky stuff that could pay off, but it also could leave them in a bad spot. The goal for Jerry is not to increase the chances that he gets another Super Bowl before he goes. The goal is to make sure that when he goes, this thing is always relevant, good enough, and he hands something functional off to Steven and Charlotte and Jerry Jr. They're not going to be in insane cap hell. They're not going to be looking for a new head coach who hasn't won anything and they got to figure that out on their own. That's not what people do with family businesses. They either sell it or they hand it to their kids with it running as smoothly and profitably in good shape as possible. And that's why they're not going to go routinely making big splash trades that, hell, the Amari one worked out, and I'm still not sure they view that as a success. Because they're like, the cap, though, that did end up being a cap problem. That's why they're not going to go hire Mike McDaniel or whoever hotshot changed the league, take it by storm coach. They're not going to do any of that because this might be the last contract Jerry signs for a head coach. He could die tomorrow, and he knows that. It's not going to be with freaking Lincoln Riley as the head coach.
What's going to make it to where you can go into work and things will be the most kind of like they are now?
Yeah. Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott.
And that was the mindset with Garrett, too.
Of
he
course.
probably thought, hey, man, I'm 75. Right.
They were winning games. They were getting in the playoffs every once in a while. I mean, McCarthy, those 36 wins in 3 years, that's the second most in the NFL. And Jerry and Steven used the term, hey, we're hanging around the rim. We hadn't dunked it or we haven't completed the shot, but we're hanging around the rim. That's all you can ask for. He said it again last night. Hey, you get to the Super Bowl by winning a lot of games, and we win a lot of games. So once you change your perspective from like, boy, Jerry's probably horny to win again before he croaks, and think of it as they just want to always be a team that you're probably talking about in December. That's what he wants for his kids, too, because what that does is makes a ton of money.
Yeah, he doesn't want to leave it to them like when he bought them.
Right.
They were becoming irrelevant. They were not selling out every game.
Yeah.
And that kind of needed a splash.
Right. But once
that needed a Jimmy hire. That needed a complete overhaul. This doesn't –
a trade.
He did recognize at one point, he's like, this needs a complete overhaul. This needs something weird. This needs me going and hiring Parcells. This is not what I want to do, but I'm going to do it because I have to do it to get us back to where we should be. And now we're where we should be. This is cool.
Yes.
This is cool.
Yeah.
Because if you go too far the other way, yes, it could be too much of a risk. I think Steven was in the news headlines recently for
the Eagles.
It was the Eagles because people were going back to what he said about the Rams a couple years ago.
Oh, I didn't really put that together.
Do you remember the Rams a couple years ago?
Oh, yeah.
He was like, you just can't do this. You can't set – well, the Rams are back in the playoffs.
After winning a Super Bowl?
Yeah. They're in the playoffs and the Cowboys are not, is the point.
Yeah. But he learned from his dad.
No, that's good good analysis of that. I didn't really even – I walked away from that thinking he's kind of a good actor.
He is a good actor.
But he's not acting.
He's not really acting.
But
he's good on screen, but he's not really acting.
But I also was wondering about his he wants to portray himself as Father of the Year, and certainly the fact that he's able to line his kids up with jobs and everything. As a guy with a kid who has graduated college, I'd like to line her up with a job. I'd love to be able to do that, but I can't.
Blake, now I know why Blake's nervous around him.
Around those kids? Oh, yeah. Where could they fit in? I don't know.
I don't know. To me, they seem way more host material than producers, so maybe I should be the freaking one worried.
But anyway, I wondered how.
Yeah.
Also, he's saying I'm like Father of the Year because I wanted to spend more time with Charlotte, so I would go. Okay, so when I go visit my daughter at Clemson, we plan to do some things together. We when he goes to visit his daughter, he's like, what kind of business transaction could I – like I'm buying 25 lots. I'm drilling for oil. He didn't see her at all.
Yeah, you're probably right. I guess I'm going to be less
cynical.
cynical
And that's why he's a billionaire and I'm not.
Anytime that it can be
That's
both.
why.
Like anytime you wanted to mix
IHOP.
in. Yeah, were you making – you at least doing some crypto trading or something at IHOP?
Yeah.
See, what I thought you were going to say is that because I do think like that he has an amazing relationship with his kids. It's crazy for them to still be as tight as they are with all the stuff and conflict they have to deal with. It's crazy.
Yeah, but wouldn't you?
Man,
if Chappie had $1 billion, aren't you over there?
Dude, but there's a lot of
on
people
your knees all the time.
There's
bruv?
a lot of people who still end up sideways with their family. And, like, maybe they end up, like, legally they're going to get some part of it here, but they just don't talk. There are rich people who do not talk to their kids, parents, vice versa. What I thought you were going to say was, does seem like a great dad to them. You may recall that the opening press conference of training camp was delayed by a couple days as he was in court for a paternity suit.
Again, though, even that, I told you I'd like to be that girl.
And he's also trying to not allow her into the will, so he's actually on their side. Because if he said, yep, she's mine, come on, that's 15%, then yeah, they wouldn't be happy. He's fighting for them.
They did actually have to move a press conference. That was this year.
They did.
You may recall.